The paradox of stillness. Have you ever felt that the harder you try to fix your life, the more chaotic it becomes? You chase success, love, and peace, yet the faster you run, the further they seem to drift away. Now imagine that the secret to power, harmony, and flow lies not in doing more, but in doing less. This idea sounds absurd to the modern mind, but to the Taoist sages of ancient China, it was the deepest truth of existence. They called it Wu Wei, literally, non-action. But it doesn't mean laziness, passivity, or apathy. It means acting without forcing, living in perfect rhythm with the universe, where effort becomes effortless. This is the Taoist mystery. How can doing nothing change everything? The birth of the Tao. To understand this mystery, we must go back 2,500 years to the misty valleys of ancient China during the Warring States period. It was an age of chaos. Kingdoms clashed, philosophies competed, and human ambition reached its boiling point. But among the noise of armies and arguments, a quiet sage stepped away from the world. His name was Lao Tzu, the Old Master. He was said to have served as an archivist in the royal court of Zhou, but disillusioned by corruption and ambition, he mounted a water buffalo and left civilization behind. At the Western Gate, a guard begged him to share his wisdom before he disappeared. Lao Tzu smiled, and in just 5,000 Chinese characters, he wrote a timeless guide to the way of existence, the Tao Te Ching, Dao De Jing, the book of the way and virtue. He began with one of the most profound lines in human philosophy. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. In other words, the ultimate truth cannot be captured in words. It can only be experienced. What is the Tao? The Tao is not a god, nor a religion. It is the way, the underlying harmony that flows through all things. It is the current of the river, the pattern of the stars, the rhythm of your breath. It is both the origin and the destination, the invisible dance between existence and non-existence. Lao Tzu writes, "Man follows the earth follows heaven follows the Tao follows what is natural." In Taoism, nature is not a resource, it is the teacher. The tree does not struggle to grow, the river does not force its path, the clouds do not rush across the sky, yet they always reach where they must. Everything unfolds in its time, through the principle of Wu Wei, action through non-action. This is the heart of Taoist thought. To align with the Tao, stop forcing the flow. When you push against the current, life feels heavy, stressful, resistant. But when you surrender, not by giving up, but by trusting the natural rhythm, you move effortlessly, like water. The meaning of Wu Wei. Wu Wei is one of the most misunderstood ideas in philosophy. At first glance, it sounds like doing nothing, but it's closer to not doing unnecessarily. Imagine an artist so skilled that her brush seems to move by itself, strokes flowing effortlessly across the canvas. That's Wu Wei. A martial artist deflecting an attack without thinking, only responding naturally, fluidly. That's Wu Wei. A musician improvising without sheet music, lost in the rhythm. That's Wu Wei. It is the state of harmony between the mind, the body, and the moment. You are not inactive. You are so aligned that action feels weightless. Zhuangzi, another great Taoist sage, told a story of a butcher named Ding. When asked how he could cut oxen so perfectly without dulling his blade, he said, "I follow the natural lines of the animal. I do not hack or force. I move with the Tao of the ox." He never forced his knife. He flowed with what already existed. And that's the essence of Wu Wei. When you stop trying to control everything, you find you were never separate from the flow at all. The modern struggle. But how does this ancient wisdom fit in a modern world obsessed with hustle, goals, and productivity? We are told to grind harder, wake up earlier, and never stop chasing. We treat life like a competition, always optimizing, never resting. Yet we are more anxious, burnt out, and disconnected than ever. Taoism offers a radical alternative. Stop trying so hard. This doesn't mean quitting your job or abandoning responsibility. It means doing what needs to be done, no more, no less, and then letting go of the outcome. When you work from flow instead of force, results come naturally. As Lao Tzu said, "The master does nothing, yet leaves nothing undone." Think of a surfer. She doesn't command the ocean, she feels it. She waits, watches, and when the right wave comes, she moves. That's Taoism in motion. The paradox is this: when you stop forcing success, success flows to you, because you're no longer fighting life, you're dancing with it. The science of flow. What's fascinating is that modern neuroscience is finally catching up with what Taoist sages knew millennia ago. Psychologists call it the flow state, a mental condition where time disappears, focus sharpens, and performance peaks. When athletes, musicians, or coders enter this state, their brains show reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for overthinking and self-judgment. In other words, the mind becomes quiet. That's Wu Wei in modern terms. Not mystical, but psychological. You act, but you don't think about acting. You move, but there's no inner resistance. So when Lao Tzu says, "By doing nothing, nothing is left undone," he's describing the timeless science of human potential, where effort becomes effortless. The water metaphor. If Taoism could be symbolized by one element, it would be water. Lao Tzu writes, "Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water, yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it." Water is humble. It seeks the lowest places. Yet it can wear down mountains, split rocks, and carve valleys. It adapts to every shape, river, lake, mist, rain. But it never loses its essence. That's the Taoist secret to strength. True power comes from gentleness. In our world, we mistake aggression for strength. But Taoism shows us that real power is adaptability. When you move with life instead of against it, you become unstoppable, not through dominance, but through resilience. The ego and the illusion of control. The biggest obstacle to Wu Wei isn't the world, it's the ego. The ego wants control. It wants to plan, predict, and manipulate outcomes. It's terrified of surrender because surrender feels like death. But in Taoism, surrender is awakening. When you realize you are not separate from the universe, that your breath, your heartbeat, and your thoughts are part of the same cosmic rhythm, the illusion of control dissolves. Lao Tzu said, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." In that surrender, peace returns. You stop fighting the world, and the world stops fighting you. Taoism in daily life. So how do you live this mystery in modern life? Here are 3 simple Taoist practices. Pause before reacting. When anger rises, stop. Observe it. Let it flow through without clinging. That's Wu Wei. Simplify your life. Lao Tzu warned that complexity leads to confusion. Ask yourself, what truly matters? Let the rest drift away. Be like water. When plans change, don't resist. Flow. Trust that the current knows the way. When you apply these, you begin to notice life softens. Opportunities arise without force. Peace returns without effort. Because the universe was never against you. You were just swimming upstream. The ultimate paradox. Here's the Tao's most beautiful paradox. You cannot try to practice Wu Wei. The moment you try, you've already lost it. You can only remember it. It's not something to achieve. It's something to allow. You are not learning to be at peace. You are remembering that you already are. The Tao isn't out there to be found. It's the quiet presence inside you, underneath all the striving. As the Tao Te Ching ends, the softest thing in the world overcomes the hardest. Being and non-being produce each other. The wise understand this and remain still. Returning to the way. In a world that rewards noise, Taoism invites silence. In a culture obsessed with control, it whispers surrender. And in a life filled with motion, it teaches stillness. When you finally stop forcing, chasing, or clinging, you discover something profound. You were never apart from the flow. The Tao isn't a belief, it's an experience. And when you return to it, you realize that doing nothing was never about inaction. It was about harmony. Because when you are one with the way, nothing is left undone. If you found this exploration of China and the West thought-provoking, make sure to subscribe to Timeless Questions channel for more deep dives into history, philosophy, and human nature.